All right, and welcome to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It's your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and once again, I got the bums in the house, but we have an honorary guest today. AJ, do you want to introduce our guest?
Absolutely. First and foremost, hope everyone's had a happy holidays, and the new year 2025 is good to you as 2024 was good to us. So, Rob, we have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
He is the mayor of sports in San Antonio, the co-host of In the Building, Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor, thank you so much for being here. I'm like to the moon right now.
Okay.
I'm so excited. I've been a fan for a long time, as I was telling you, and we're just very happy to have him here. Thank you for saying yes.
Sure.
And you could be a lot of places right now, but you're here with us.
Well, you got lucky. I had to go over to the Alamo Dome and pick up my football credentials. So I thought, well, hell, I guess I'll do it. No, I'm kidding. I've known that if y'all ever did a show and you were, because you don't live here all the time.
Right.
So if you were ever in town, I was always going to oblige you, man. So.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did. My girlfriend got me a pin that goes like on your shirt. It says, "Can I have your pickle?"
Oh.
So I got that for Christmas to celebrate Jesus' birthday.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to wear that all day, probably when I go to the Alamo game. And
Very nice.
Have a tailgate, and I'll have my "Can I have your pickle" pin on. Because you can't, that's the thing, when you get a Christmas present, you have to represent it, whether you like it or not.
No,
whether it's embarrassing or not.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing this shirt. My wife told me, hey, you should put on that Santa Claus basketball shirt. And I said, all right, cool.
Well, did she buy it?
She did.
Well, there you are.
Yeah, I had to wear it.
Yeah.
So shout out to my wife.
Yep, that conversation happened about an hour ago.
It sure did.
You were going to wear something else.
I was going to wear a Wemby shirt blocking Chet, but catch us on the next one. I'll be wearing that.
Okay. A Wemby blocking Chet.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
Yeah, that's...
I like that shirt, though. Seriously, she did good.
She did.
Yeah.
She's a
You're
good
fine.
one.
You're
I think I'll
fine.
keep her
so
around.
So she pick you out every day?
No.
Okay,
no.
just this particular day.
Just today.
Okay. That's acceptable on occasion, not
right.
every day.
Yeah, you got to be somewhat of an adult. Yeah,
Absolutely. And Rob's taking notes because Rob's engaged right now.
Okay.
So he'll be married sometime in 25.
Yeah, within the year, I think I'll be married.
You
so,
think
yeah.
you'll be married?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I mean, right now we're still planning a lot of stuff, so it's very
It's
expensive.
still a yes from her.
Yes,
as
it's-
long
it's
as
still-
it remains
she-
a yes, that
she-
at some point it'll happen.
Right. She hasn't taken back and realized that I'm a piece of trash yet. So there we go.
I don't think so.
But yeah, that's some fun stuff right there. But yeah, we got some Spurs to talk about.
Some
Yeah.
good Spurs, some bad Spurs, some up and down Spurs, but man, that Christmas Day loss, man.
Yeah,
That was a tough one. That was a tough pill to swallow because we did the same thing 2 days before that.
right. I mean, just completely blow a game that we easily could have won. We hadn't played on Christmas in several years, so it really made it more meaningful to be on that stage and then fall short like we did in the last minute. So, Mike, when you were watching the game, what were your thoughts on Christmas? What were your thoughts watching the Spurs play the Knicks?
Well, I was excited for a while, and I thought, shit, he's going to have a 50-20 here. So it's going to get completely blown to the moon because it's New York, and they make a big deal about everything that they do. You know, I like New York, but I'm not one of these people that gets all, oh my God, he had 38 at the Mecca. I'm from Texas. I don't give a shit about the Knicks, and they've sucked for 40 years. So I don't get I'm happy. That's great. We got to play on Christmas. You know, I don't want to be cynical and act like an a-hole. It's cool that they're doing things that a young team that has a good superstar does. You know, you show improvement, and he kicks ass, and you tweak the roster around him, and you're going to have good days, and you're going to have bad days. And so I was excited early in the fourth, because he was on his way to a 50-20.
Yep.
Right up until the point where they shit the bed.
Yep.
Can I cuss on this podcast? Okay.
Please do.
As much as you want.
And got bullied by the Knicks, and that was disappointing. But the cool part about that is that both Wemby and Chris Paul called out themselves in the postgame. Because I got shit from people for being mean, because I said that they got punked in winning time, which they did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Chris admitted it, and Wemby was like, we didn't have any dog out there in winning time. And he's right, and I'm glad at least he said that. That's great. Now go do it next time. You know what it looks like, so don't get freaked out. And the Knicks, it's almost like the Knicks toyed with us for 3.5 quarters. Oh, okay, is there 5 minutes to go? Cool, oh, sweet, it's still daytime, too. I'm going to go have Christmas. swat this gnat out of the way, and then we can go have our Christmas. The Knicks, when they decided to beat us and take over the game, they just did.
Yeah.
And that was unfortunate because we didn't match their intensity.
No.
And hustle and toughness and all that shit. And at least Wemby and Chris called it out in the postgame, and I was pleased by that.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it on the head. However, I am the opposite person. The entire week before leading up to the Christmas Day,
The Mecca.
I was like, Wemby had such a shit game last year. I cannot wait. It's going to be redemption. He's going to go off, and he did. He had an incredible game, but how did we get punked by Mikal Bridges?
He was
Right.
great. I mean, he was great.
But like the number 3, 4 option on that team, and he has 41. What are we doing?
I mean, we said it in the offseason when he was retooling his jumper that it was just a matter of time before he regained his confidence and was shooting at an elite level. And I think that's the evidence of that right there. But what really chaps my ass is that we didn't have Stephon Castle in there guarding him nearly enough. He played 17 minutes against the Knicks, played 13 minutes against Philadelphia, and in my opinion, he's proven to be our best perimeter defender. And if we have somebody like Bridges torching us from mid range and from beyond the arc, and he's not playing significant minutes late in the fourth, it's like that to me is a potential coaching error. Like I want to see him out there. I want to see him moving his feet, disrupting offense.
Yeah,
and that was disappointing to not see that.
In the Sixers game, we had Jeremy Sohan on Maxey, and who torched us at the very end? Maxey did. He had Jeremy Sohan looking the other way. So I don't mind him playing defense, but that's a job for Castle. I think that's something that's why we drafted him, for him to be on those quick guards because he can keep up with them. I mean, I don't know what would happen if Castle was playing defense. I mean, the same result might have still happened because Maxey's that good, but it would have been nice to see because he's been getting a lot of minutes lately before these last 4 games, and I would have loved to see him in that winning time playing defense over Julian Champagnie.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The statistical output speaks for itself. He's scoring 13 points in 17 minutes, and he's just not getting enough opportunity. And being that good on both ends of the court, it just doesn't make full sense to me. I want to see him playing 25-plus minutes every single game.
It's one thing if you're not going to play him. It's another thing when you got Trey Jones out there. Fuck we doing playing Trey Jones and not Steph Castle? If I'm going to lose, let me lose with Castle on the floor and not Trey Jones. That kid is not. He's fine. He's just a guy, Trey Jones.
Yeah,
he's a guy that for a winning team, you don't have him on the floor for you in crunch time, and that's one problem I would have had. But then the other thing is why we have the kid on the bench, but you have him out there. Didn't get that at all. Didn't understand that. There's a dynamic here with them, and I've waited for this to play out. And I don't want to overreact to this one particular game, but you're right. He hadn't played Castle much the last couple of games. There's a weird dynamic because Mitch Johnson said probably 2 weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, I'm in constant communication with Pop.
Right.
Okay, it's Pop's team. I would assume that. That's a good thing. That tells me that Pop feels up to watching all the games, and he's getting better, and he's in Mitch's ear, I guess, on the phone and texting and whatnot. I wonder, but that was that on Mitch Johnson, the Knicks game? Or, I'd like to know that. Are y'all talking pregame? Are you talking once a week, right after games every night? And there's only so much Pop can tell watching it on television like us.
Yeah.
Mitch is right there on the floor coaching. So while he's still the interim coach, and I know that Pop has probably more say in what goes on, even though Pop isn't there because he's Pop, I guess you have to. I guess that's on Mitch Johnson. I would assume, unless Pop's told him, let's see some different rotationals. Let's. I don't. That's a weird dynamic that we don't know because I don't know who's running the show, man.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's frustrating to have our first unit is fantastic. When we start the game, the only thing that is our Achilles heel in the first unit is that we can't get out of the gates fast enough. And so, Wemby was 1 for 6 before he made that 3-pointer. And then my biggest pet peeve with the rotation is when we go small and Jeremy's playing the 5, I absolutely hate it because we can't rebound. If the guys aren't making shots, then they're not like we're not doing anything, and they're just playing horribly. I mean, it's tough to watch. I think Keldon might be playing the 4. Like it's Vassell's at the 3.
That's
it's
too
not
small.
Fun. It's too small, and we're not there yet. If we had another piece or two, maybe, but. For now, I hate that lineup. I absolutely hate that lineup.
Oh yeah, that lineup was out there, and Precious Achua was just bodying us down low, and I'm like, he's like a 6'9", 6'10", undersized center in this league, and it's like if someone like that is going to be able to just body us down low and really just dismantle what we're doing defensively, then we need to analyze why that is, because that should not be happening. But yeah, there was a lot of things that I was just kind of scratching my head at, and. Yeah, one of them was also not only the small ball lineup, but just why aren't we playing Bassey? What happened to Bassey's
DNP.
minutes? Like I think that whenever I'm looking at our backup big behind Wemby, effort wise, a guy that you can put in a pick and roll, he's not going to shoot a bunch of shots in a game, but he's going to go out there, get a couple of blocks, get some rebounds, know his role.
Yeah,
I want to see him play rather than us chuck out this small ball lineup.
Yeah, I think Bassey is kind of our Steven Adams. You know when Steven Adams was on OKC, and his job was to set picks, grab rebounds, put back dunks. If you have an alley-oop, I'll be there kind of thing. That's Bassey for us. And I think with the Knicks game in that small lineup, you take someone out, put in Bassey, that just gives you just a big body down low. Because whenever we go to that small lineup, I mean – that's how the Knicks got back in the game. We were up by like 8 points or something, and they came back with that small lineup. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, and the Spurs are chucking up dumb shots. And look, man, I've gotten used to the NBA now. You know, I've gotten used to how things go.
How'd you do it?
Well, I've just accepted that this is how things are until they step in and make a rule change to prevent all these threes being shot from all over the place. It's fine. Look, Wemby's chucking up 30-footers and stuff in winning time when they need buckets.
Yeah.
It's like that's another thing I would like to ask Mitch Johnson is like, what happened to situational basketball? Okay, fine, shoot all your threes and let's work the perimeter, and that's not Charles Bassey's not on the court because they need threes. Got to shoot three. But with 4 minutes to play in the game and it's a bucket, we're going bucket to bucket.
Yeah.
Maybe some situational ball, when you're up 5, maybe, I don't know, run some shot clock, maybe one, just for the old timers,
right?
Kick the ball inside to the big man and see if he can't get a hook shot and draw a foul,
Right.
It was dogs chasing cars in winning time in New York the other day. It was wild ass, and they didn't appear to be coached to know what they were doing, and they got out hustled. Here's the good news. When's the last time you were pissed off after a loss?
It's fair.
Be honest.
I mean, honestly, the 76ers game, but it's nice that we're feeling that way.
It's like big picture piss.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I guess
like
it's been a while.
We're mad at rotations.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. This is progress. They're a young band, and they've got some bigger audiences now because they put out some decent tunes lately,
right.
And so I expect a good show. Yeah. Last year I didn't get pissed off. They sucked.
Yeah.
4 years straight. I've not had my blood boil over a Spurs game in years. So this is neat.
It's nice.
I like it. Yeah. This is like the old days when they were winning 60 games every year, and I get pissed off because they lost a game in February to the Clippers because they retired on the second night of a back-to-back. I haven't been pissed off in a long time. It's a good thing. These are fixable problems too. Mitch Johnson's not an idiot. I mean, he knows that Steph Castle's one of the future cornerstones. He knows Trey Jones is aight.
Yeah.
He probably knows it was wild ass. He probably knows they got out hustled. Why did they do it? That's the thing. But they did. It is what it is. So it's a learning experience, hopefully, for the lads, and everything will be a lot better next time out.
My only thing is, whenever someone says, "Well, they're still young, they're learning, they're growing," nope, I don't want to hear that anymore. We have guys who have been in the league for 3 years, 4 years. I mean, obviously Wemby's in his second year, but we're also in game 30. Like, we just want to go down that, I guess, that trend where we start losing these close games. That's the only thing I'm nervous about, is that doesn't become a thing. But to your point, last year, those 5-6 point games in the fourth quarter, 20-point blowouts at the end of the game.
Lost them all.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is growth, is progress. Now there's expectations.
Sure.
So how are you going to respond?
Yeah, when you're 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, you're still you're too old to be acting like a kid, but you're too young to be taken serious by the real grown-ups, right? But at some point, those excuses run out. At some point, time to grow up, mijo.
Yep.
You got to pay your own bills. I'm not going to co-sign on a car. You know, the Spurs are into that territory now where, okay, it's time to, you're on your own, fly bird, fly. And
Absolutely.
that's why you get angry when they do dumb shit like they did the other day, because you're right. You got guys on the floor that have been there long enough. Devin Castle. Devin Vassell, rather. Yeah, I'm a little mad at him. He completely disappeared the other day. Your star, ultimately in the NBA, your stars win and your stars lose. Mm-hmm. And he's one of your stars for now. And his ass didn't do anything the other day. I was mostly mad at him. Vassell.
Fair.
Need some help, bud.
He did have a cool dunk, though.
Right. I mean,
Yay.
Offensively, I have no beef. But whenever he was brought into our team, he was really, sort of pinned as this 3-and-D guy.
Vassell?
Yeah, and I feel like slowly but surely over the course of an injury here and there, he's losing the D from the 3-and-D. I'm starting to see less and less quality on the perimeter from his defense. And if you're going to be one of our guys that's going to close games, that has to be a portion of your game that's got to be strong, especially this earlier on in your career. It's like we need more out of you. You can't just be someone that goes out there and hits tough shots, because goddamn, that's what he takes. He takes some of the toughest shots in the NBA, and he hits a lot of them. So that's good. But man, he's got to be bringing it on defense as well. And just speaking about like the effort, that last minute of the game, that's atrocious. Allowing 3 offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Just allowing the possession to continue to extend. That honestly, I can't put that on Mitch Johnson or anything like that. That's absolutely 100% effort. You got to be playing harder.
Couldn't agree more, and that's why I'm mostly angered over that.
Yeah.
The rotation's fine. Yes, we all think the kid should have been on the floor, not Trey Jones. Maybe Bassey should be in there for a board or two, trying to preserve the lead. But man, what's the average ticket for the fan, especially at Madison Square Garden, is probably $400.
I would say so.
I'm gonna spend $500 to come watch. Go ahead and try the whole time. Go ahead, just try the whole time.
Right.
Or if you're gonna mail in a quarter, mail in the second quarter. Don't mail in winning time.
Right.
And I just think that they wilted. Maybe, I don't know if nerves or the bright lights of New York or the Knicks had momentum. Maybe it's all of the above. I get pissed when there's lack of effort, hustle, and all that kind of thing. And again, going back to what I said to start with, at least their 2 best players called it out, and that was good.
Absolutely. And I mean, for me, the way we lost is the worst way to win. I'm okay with game winners, like they suck, but hey, you did what you could. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. But to just not grab a rebound,
right,
with 37 seconds left, and just let that clock run. I mean, that was a tough pill to swallow.
That's effort. It just comes down to effort.
Just effort.
Yeah.
But we got the Nets tonight, and that should be a win. We're 7-point favorites, so
that should be an easy win.
Should be.
On paper, that's an easy win, but that's what we were all saying about the 76ers, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, I'm surprised Joel Embiid got ejected from that game. I'm glad he did, because I don't know if Wemby could have held up the entire game with Joel Embiid. He was getting pushed around pretty easily.
Honestly, we got to talk about all the technicals in that game, because that game was a clusterfuck.
Was
I've never
insane.
seen somebody ejected, be in the tunnel still, have jersey off, have call overturned, and then come back out from the tunnel like a fucking WWE wrestler, just like, yeah, dude. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, and he came right back in the game.
Yeah.
They didn't put him on the bench and have to check Drummond back in. It was like, I had never seen anything like that. So,
and it got the crowd hype.
Oh yeah, it really did. It felt like a WWE moment, and like, watching basketball for decades, and to still see something new and refreshing. It's you never think you're going to see it, but then you see it.
That was a shitty night for the officials.
That was.
Lost
good.
control.
Yep.
That was stupid.
Well, it was scary. Joel Embiid got mad. I mean, I haven't seen someone run to a ref that way in a long time, and let alone a female ref too. It was a little scary.
Yeah.
Well, he's an asshole. I mean, let's just be honest. And he's also let all of the missing games stuff get to his head now, where he's got this big chip on both of his shoulders over him missing games. Hell, the league is apparently investigating their franchise now. I hate that franchise, and I don't like Joel Embiid at all. I think he's a dick.
Yeah.
And and that was you mentioned she's a female. There's two ways to look at that. Hey, man, what are you doing?
Right.
But hey, she's getting paid like everybody else, and she's a ref, and maybe all the refs get chewed out at some point. But he's an asshole, And did he have a case? Sure. But he's just, I don't know. I think all of the controversy around him with the missing the games, I think it's messed with him. But I'm happy because I don't like that franchise anyway because they have the most overrated general manager of my lifetime. So F the 76ers. I hope they have nothing but bad juju the rest of the season. I don't like them. Not about the city or their idiot fans. It's about that franchise. A franchise that has Daryl Morey as the general manager is not serious about winning a championship. So I don't want to hear the Sixers are the next year's team. They're the never gonna, as long as he's running that show.
And Paul George has kind of been lack thereof. I mean, I think he's averaging 18 points, but it's not a fanatic 18 points. I haven't seen any highlights from him. I'm sure there are.
Well, I mean, he's been banged up. He's been banged up, and Embiid's been banged up. Maxi's missed a large chunk of the season. It's like they've been unhealthy all over the place. And, even when Embiid has played, he's looked laughable. I mean,
we do not like Joel Embiid on this podcast.
Yeah,
we've been
I'm in friendly territory.
We've been shitting on Joel Embiid since the Olympics.
Yeah,
because he looked out of shape in the Olympics. He looked terrible. The only reason he was relevant because he was hitting 3-pointers. So, we were not fans. It was pretty crazy that he only played 7 games until the Spurs game, and then he gets ejected in the second quarter. I'm like, you just don't want to play basketball.
Right. I agree. I think part of that's true. Yeah. He's got $200 million in his checking account, and he's old, and he's been hurt for years. He's constantly hurt. He's probably just getting worn out, too. And it's probably gotten into his head. And now people are giving him shit about missing games. Now, but the franchise itself is under investigation. It just kind of, that house of cards is starting to crumble up there. But it's good to see. I'm happy to see it.
He just needs to buy an island and go hang out next to Reggie Bullock.
Sure.
I mean, he's got the stacks for it. He's definitely fleeced Philly for a lot of money just to sit out.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah,
he didn't give himself that money.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
They did.
Well, they tried to trust the process.
Jeez. Yeah, but we got Brooklyn tonight, so hopefully we get back on track. And
okay, help me out, man. You watch the NBA more than me. Is Sean Marks still running that thing? Surely not by now, right?
I don't think
Whatever
so.
happened to?
No, I'm not sure who's over.
I don't think
GM.
it's Sean
No, it's
anymore.
not Sean anymore.
Okay, I thought he was gone.
Someone else. I can't remember who it is.
Off the top of my head, I can't.
That's
think.
another ne'er-do-well, and they play in the number one market in the country, and they get all these games, and they're just another team. But it says Brooklyn on their shirt. I mean, the Spurs should be fine tonight. Show me that anger you had the other night.
Yeah.
In the postgame. Let that carry over to tonight. Run their ass off the floor, and let's have a feel-good game and get out of there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is, does the NBA have a viewership problem? Now, we saw the ratings come out for Christmas. They were up through the roof. They were like the highest ratings in like the past 5 years. And it was really cool to see. I think my biggest pet peeve with the NBA is they're showcasing just the big markets, which is fine. I understand that. But your stars are in the small markets. Milwaukee, small market. San Antonio, small market. But you're not showing those games. Like, I could care less about the Heat and the Hornets. Like, I want to see young players, young superstars who are on these smaller markets on national TV. Like, we never saw the Nuggets until they started winning games. Like especially the championship, and then we finally saw them pop up. But I also don't want to watch them at 9:30 at night in Central Time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of the NBA. And then also to watch the games, you need 3 or 4 apps.
Oh my God!
And it's costing you $50 a month just to watch the games that you want to watch. I have 2 apps just to watch Spurs games. The NBA app, which by the way, the NBA app is awful.
Dog shit.
It never works. I'm always in unrestricted areas or whatever. I'm nowhere close to where you need to be. I use a VPN, get off my back. And then, it's just one of those things where they need to address it. I don't know if the three-pointer thing is a huge issue, but if they were to make it more streamlined like the NFL, when you buy the Sunday ticket, you get all the stuff. Call it a day. One time, one price. You buy it, you can watch any game, any team, whatever. I think that's what they need to start doing. So we'll see if they do that or not. But I'm just it's hard to watch the NBA, and that's why they're having a problem.
Yeah, we have YouTube TV in my house.
Same.
And
Same,
so
yeah.
last year I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to get that effing Bally's app.
Oh,
Because, I mean...
and that was dog shit.
And I hate Bally's.
That was a dog shit
And
app.
in order to watch Wemby, I'm going to have to get the freaking Bally's app. So there's, $16, $17 a month. I think that's a big part of it. People dog on the style of the game now, but I think more so it's, and I've got problems with it myself, but more so it's hard to find the games. And I think you bring up a good point, man. If you look at the top guys in the league, like the 10 best players in the league, well, let's say the 10 marquee guys, maybe not the best, but the most famous, yeah, are the best. I mean, they're in smaller markets, but that's the NBA's problem, because all of the stats say, all of the data says that when New York's on or LA's on or Chicago, the ratings are up. The problem for the NBA is it's not. We do want to watch the superstars, but we really want to watch them if they play in LA, New York, or Chicago. And that sucks for me as a Texan and a Spurs fan, but that's the way the NBA has to look at it. The NBA wants their big market teams to have superstars on them. They don't manipulate. Well, maybe the Chris Paul Laker deal got manipulated. Other than that, they normally don't manipulate business. Believe me, Adam Silver wants New York to win the title. He wants Wemby to shit on us and go to the Knicks in a couple of years when he's a free agent. He wants Giannis to leave and go to the Heat. It's better for the league. The average American does not want to watch Milwaukee, but he does if Giannis plays for the Knicks. That's unfortunate. It's hypocritical of the average fan, but there's nothing you can do about that. There's just nothing you can do about that. And you throw in all the apps and all the different things that we watch and how young people now take in information in spoonfuls, and it's led to low ratings this year. And it's all of the above. But do you guys are basketball purists? Do you have problems with this newfound league where your reigning NBA champion, the Celtics, are on pace to break the all-time record for threes shot in a season? Are you bored by that? Or is that just a cop-out excuse for the low ratings? Seriously. Because I've got my opinions, and I'm ready to change them, though, if I hear a better argument.
I mean, I think it has to do some with the low ratings, but I think there's an ebb and flow to the way basketball is played in general. I think right now we're leaning into advanced analytics a little bit too much. I think perhaps we're taking shots that are maybe from an advanced analytics standpoint, that's the correct shot, but maybe for the flow of your offense, it doesn't quite make sense. Maybe that's where you're supposed to be getting your shot, but not when or how you're supposed to be getting that shot. And so it's, in my opinion, the flow of the game is ruined a little bit, and we're confusing higher scores with better offense. And I think just because we're seeing more points per game, that doesn't necessarily mean the brand of offense is better. It's just where we're able to score more points and sort of allowing that style of play. It's not as exciting. It's definitely not as it's not as sexy, and especially if you're someone that watched basketball during the 2000s. It was get the ball to the big man. That was the foundation of your offense, and so to see what we're seeing now, it's a lot of turnoff for people in their 30s that want to see some fundamentals, and we're seeing teams just lean far too in advanced analytics.
I mean, look at the Spurs. Wemby has a small guy on him. He had Josh Hart on him. He was taking fadeaway jumpers, like
from 28 feet.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you're a foot taller than him. Take him down low. Establish a hook shot. I mean, when's the last time anyone had a hook shot in their arsenal? Like maybe Dwight Howard, maybe. So that's a lost art too. Yeah. So guys being able to, I mean, especially someone like Wemby, if he learns how to make a hook shot and that becomes part of his repertoire, good luck stopping it. You're not going to stop it.
He just talked about something like this the other day. Wemby was saying that, I've got all these different things, all these moves. I've got all this in my holster. I'm still learning when to shoot what holster. What bullet do I need to use at this point? I've got this move and that move and this move and that move. I'm still learning how to know, and this goes back to what I said earlier, the situational basketball cliche. But it's not. He's still learning when to use the thing. It's like a pitcher that has 6 pitches. That's awesome. You've got 3 fork balls and 2 different split fingers, and you've got a fastball and a rising curve. When the hell do you throw them and what count? Into what batters? He's learning that. He's learning what pitch to throw right now in winning time. And he's doing it while having 42 and 18 because he's awesome and he's insane talented. When he figures out the right pitches to throw to the right batters in the right moments, he will be absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that. But to the point of the other night and the style of right now, he's chucking up these dumbass shots when, no, man, let's post up and get a quick 2 because you just need a bucket right now. All those threes and all the analytics, they're right unless you need a bucket right now and you got to have a stop.
Yeah.
Where are the analytics on defense? What are those analytics? Because they didn't play worth the shit on defense either. And granted, Mike Bridges couldn't miss any shots, but it sure would have been cool to have the kid from UConn out there, maybe having something to do with that. So it's we're talking about a lot of things, and all of them are true. My take on the style, I think the analytics people are absolutely correct. The best odds to win a game are to take as many threes as you can. Because if you make a bunch, mathematically, it adds up to more points at the end of the game. So I am a believer in the analytics. You guys know who Kirk Goldsberry is?
Yes.
Yeah, so Kirk was an old neighbor of mine. My kids went to school with his kids years ago. Kirk was probably one of the first data analysis guys that were hired full-time in the league. The Spurs hired him 15 years ago, and he spent like 3 or 4 years completely completely overhauling how they analyze games. Pop too, because the trends were changing, and the Spurs were ahead of the curve on analytics. I'm absolutely a believer that they work, and the math is correct. X equals yes, what you're saying. I believe you. Here's the problem: it's led to ugly ass basketball. There's a reason why the MIT guy never gets the hot chick in the bar, because he's very analytical. He dresses conservative. He drives a Hyundai because it gets better gas mileage than the Porsche. But from an entertainment standpoint, the douchebag in the Porsche with a pop collar and the $500 shoes gets the hottie in the bar because it's sexy and it's entertaining and it jazzes her. The jazz is being sucked out of the game by the analytics. That does not mean they're wrong. But one of the problems is it's sucked out some of the entertainment value for people, especially guys my age and older.
Yeah.
And I think that the league will address that because Adam Silver, to his credit, makes changes. He senses some things slipping. Fuck it, let's put an in-season tournament. The All-Star game sucks and no one cares. Fuck it, let's make it a tournament, which I think that's great.
Yeah.
They will not wait around for long. You watch. In the next 1 or 2 or 3 years tops, we're going to have a rules change to try to stop some of these 50-point threes a night. What that rule change is, I've got my ideas. I don't know, but something needs to be done, and I think the NBA will act.
So Rob and I were talking about this last week. Rob went to come see me in Fort Worth, and we're sitting there like
the great Fort Worth.
Yes. Shout out.
Downtown.
Also, going back to real quick, the Wemby thing, you can tell he's been in Texas for a year because he's talking about guns already.
Oh, is that right? Uh-oh.
We said he has his arsenal and trying to figure out which bullet.
Oh, well, that's okay. That was my
yours.
analogy.
Okay.
He didn't say that. I compared him to a gunslinger and a pitcher.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he did allude to that. But not. Yeah, he's not gun ready yet.
He will
he's
be.
Still getting
Can
used
you
to
imagine him
tacos.
holding a gun like his hands are so
Yeah,
big?
no. He wouldn't know what to do with it probably.
Right. They'll just.
He'll get more texting as the years go by.
Going back to the rule change, he'll look like Keldon Johnson in 2 years. So going back to the rule change, Rob and I were talking, and one thing that we talked about was it'd be really cool to see like a couple FIBA rules in the NBA. One of them being when the ball hits the rim, you can pull it off. Because I think that would eliminate a lot of three-pointers, or at least get people to think, all right, if I don't swish this, or if it doesn't go straight in, someone can just pull that off, no problem. Because we see a lot of rim bounce, backboard into the hoop, those would be gone. And that might change the way that the analytics work. That might change the way that you attack the hoop because you have to make it in the hoop. And I think that's one small little tweak that could be your answer to a lot of your issues.
Oh, yeah, and you would immediately have a lot of incentive for playing a big man who could easily get the ball off that rim. And someone like Wemby would immediately have even more value around the basket than he already has.
Right.
It's generational. I mean, the tide will switch. I mean, the league's gone through several iterations of styles. You know, I remember my dad bitching in the late 80s and 90s. None of these assholes can shoot anymore. Everybody just wants to dunk. Okay, now everyone's shooting jump shots, but now we get nights where teams are missing 35 of them.
Yesterday.
Shooting is still an issue. But because we're going to shoot 38% as a team, let's chuck up 50 because we'll make 18 of them, and that'll wind up leading. That'll give us a victory. But we board our customers because the NBA looks at fans as customers. They're paid customers.
For sure.
You know, and the customers are being bored, you know.
I blame video games.
Tough shit, you know, tough shit. They're here to stay. They're not going anywhere,
Yeah.
you know. It's sucked out the entertainment value.
The way that I played my video games is the way they play the NBA now. Dunks and three-pointers.
So you're calling for the legalization of goaltending? Is that what you're saying?
It's not legal. It's not goaltending. It's the way that
Yanking rebounds off the rim.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling for.
Okay.
I would love to see that. I think it would be just a really unique perspective. See how it works. Maybe do it in the G League because they're already playing it in the Olympics, and those Olympic games are great. I mean, even shortening the quarters might be a good way to do it too. I mean, it might.
I agree.
So,
but the league will never do it. That's
never
less
that.
bills that are getting paid.
Right, and then you'd have to put asterisks next to all of the awards for people that were playing more minutes a game.
That's okay. That's okay, man. Hey, man, the league's been around for how long? When was the merger? 75, 74?
Yeah.
It's been around 50 years almost. It's okay. Some of the stats are going to get screwed with. Baseball's been around since the 1880s.
Yeah.
They make drastic changes every 40, 50 years themselves. None of the stats. I mean, look, you said it a minute ago. You know, scoring 40 is not what it used to be. No. In 1998, if someone had 40, that was a historical night. Let's write columns about it, and it winds up being one of the top 10 games of the year. Now Luka Doncic damn near averages 40 a night on his own every night. So because the scoring is so high now, you know, scoring's way up. My brother who lives in Fort Worth, Luka had 48 tonight. The Mavericks scored 150. Somebody's going to have 48.
Yep.
Oh, he's got 38 in the third quarter, Mike. Yeah, and they also have 118. Because it's 118 to 115 in the third quarter. And that's just the way it's gone. The stats are being already screwed with because, look, in 5 years, like right now, Luka's going to be in the top 5 all-time in triple-doubles. Wemby's going to break the all-time triple-doubles record for a guy of his height. In 5 years, or maybe even less, the top 10 all-time leaders in triple-doubles will be guys that have played now.
Yep.
Because the league has totally changed. So the stats are already being manipulated. What you can't have is bored fans, low ratings, and then sprites like, what are we spending a year on the NBA? Let's reduce that 18% because the ratings are down. We have less eyeballs on these games. Sprite, Coke, Pepsi, Target. When that starts happening, then Adam Silver's going to be like, all right, we're putting a cap on threes. Y'all get 20 a game, period, you know. Oh, by the way, I know that sounds like mad science.
I like that.
Hey, you want to give the analytics geeks something to really analyze? Let's put a cap on the number of threes you can shoot in a game. Make it 30. Then maybe you start saving some of your threes for later in the game. Oh, shit, we've taken 18. I know that sounds wild-ass, but, hey, sports have done this for years. Sports sometimes – I never thought baseball would do some of the things they've done.
Sure.
Let's wipe out the shift. Let's put
a shot clock on it.
Pitch count?
Yeah.
Pitch count. If baseball can implement a pitch count for pitchers, the NBA can put a cap on threes per game. I know
agree.
it sounds insane, but I don't think we're there yet. But the way things are going, if the ratings continue to be shit, the league's going to have to do something, and maybe even drastic something like that. I don't know what it would be. I'm just spitballing. I don't think they'll put a cap on threes, but it'd cut down on them. It damn sure would.
I'd rather them change the rules rather than add a 4-point line. I think that would be dumb.
Yeah, I think that would be really gimmicky.
Would you rather put a cap on threes in a game or make the 3-point or make it a 4-point shot?
No, cap.
Okay.
I don't
I'm
want.
not saying the cap's genius. The 4 points, and that's a little too wild.
That's too much. That's when you start to sponsor the 4-point thing like they do in the celebrity game. Ruffles does that 4-point
Right.
thing. I don't want to see that.
I don't think it'll help because then the analyst will come up with another excuse. Well, let's just we'll just take 35 4-point shots a night because if you make 7 of them, you've won the game.
Could you imagine someone coming off a pick and roll 35 feet out and just chunking a 3?
Wemby.
Right. You know.
I mean, I could see him doing it casually,
Sure.
maybe off of one leg.
Right. And look at, you talk about how, eras change and the way you play the game changes. Look how many guys play in the NBA now that would have never even been drafted in the 90s. Little sleek, 6'3", can't do anything but make threes all night. J.J. Redick don't have a career in the 80s, I don't think. Maybe he's a poor excuse, but there are guys in the league right now that are making $20, $30, $40 million over the next I'm talking about worker bee bench guys. They're going to make $40 million over the next 5 years in their career that wouldn't even have been drafted 20 years ago because the styles are different.
Have you ever heard of this name before? Tyler Johnson?
Tyler Johnson. I've heard the name. You help me out. Fill in the rest.
So he was the first person that I was like, holy shit, these contracts are insane. I was like, who is Tyler Johnson? The Miami Heat signed him on I think an extension for $50 million. And I went, who? For what?
Yeah. The
Holy
money's
hell.
so insane too now.
And keep in mind, this wasn't like last year. This was like probably 4 or 5 years ago when it happened. I still remember that name and that graphic coming up, $50 million. So, I mean, that's utterly really ridiculous. But Wemby's going to make $100 million a year for sure. It's just a matter of
Subsequently,
time.
there's also a lot of really good college basketball players that will never sniff the NBA that 18 years ago would have. I'm not even talking about stars. I'm just talking about guys that play in the league 4 or 5 years and make decent money and set their families up. Those kinds of guys, that shifts because of the style of games. You're not going to draft. Like, what happened to Zach Edey, the kid from Purdue? Where's he at?
He's in Memphis right now.
How's he doing?
He honestly, he was kind of on the short list for Rookie of the Year for a little bit, but then his minutes started to go away. So he's not having a bad rookie season.
Can he shoot threes at all?
No.
There you go. 30 years ago, he's the next great big man in the history of blah, blah, blah. We're going to build our franchise around him. And you just told me that he's losing minutes now already.
Yeah.
So the stats are going to do what they have to do. The league has to protect its assets, its money.
Yep.
And I see something happening in the future, and not too distant future. And this is not old man trash. It was so much better in the 90s. I'm not saying that at all. This is based on I'm an analytics guy, but it's made it boring. We need some Porsches. We can't all be Hondas.
Well, also, those 90s games, I remember when Spurs Jazz game was, 82-59 or whatever it was. Like, I don't want to watch that.
Oh yeah.
No, that was boring too. It's for sure. So it's just this can be exciting. I like these sleek, 6 foot. It's a wingman's league. Everyone 6'5",
Doing TikTok dances.
Sure, that's great. I love all that stuff because it's fun. It's entertainment. The playoffs are different. We're intense and we're going to play half court ball and this kind of thing. But in the regular season, if I'm going to go see the Spurs play, I don't know, Memphis or I don't know, Sacramento. Entertain me. I'm down. I want to see some dunks. I want to see some fights. I want to see some flash. I don't want to see set up threes for kids I'll never hear of again.
I think Christmas was a really good day for the Spurs, just on a national level, because people saw, oh man, these young Spurs players are jumping out of the gym doing alley oops and put back dunks, and this Wemby kid is really. So I think that was a really good showcase for the Spurs. It was a primetime game. Let's call it. It is a primetime game.
Yeah.
People are coming out of church. People are getting their dinners ready, and they turn on the TV, and they don't have to use Netflix. But I mean, the NFL also just dominated with 65 million views or something.
Right.
But
honestly, that kind of pisses me off. It's like know your lane, football.
They don't give a shit.
Stay on Thanksgiving. Basketball
they
for
purposely
Christmas.
got to the NBA's lane.
They know
their
know.
lane, and they're going to take everybody's lane.
But one thing that doesn't happen in the NBA that I wish that happens in the NFL is people just love football. So it doesn't matter what game's on, who's playing. It could be, yesterday, Toledo versus Pittsburgh. I don't care about Pittsburgh. I don't care about Toledo. I couldn't name you a single player. But my father-in-law was like, football's on. He watched the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
8 overtimes or something like that?
I mean, it's just one of those things that the NBA's, unless, I don't know what's going to change. I don't think anything will change. I think the NFL just owns viewership because people just put it on and watch football because it's football. Not many people do that with basketball until something like potentially a Wemby in 2-3 years, and you're like, Wemby's must-see TV. Like, no matter what we're doing, we're stopping, we got to watch it. Similar to the way like Giannis plays, especially in the NBA Cup. If Giannis was on and we're watching the NBA Cup, I have to watch it because he takes over in those really important games, and it's fun to watch him just absolutely take over because I kind of see Wemby doing that at some point. I just don't know when that's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That goes back to what we were talking about earlier with just like the small market teams and the phenomenal players in the league just getting more shine, getting more exposure. And yeah, that's certainly a component to why the league is struggling a little bit financially. I mean, it's still profitable, but profits are down. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma City and Milwaukee were the NBA Cup Finals, and they weren't even like mentioned in. Wait, Oklahoma, they didn't play on Christmas Day, did they? Or did they?
No.
No, yeah, they didn't play on Christmas Day. That's the number one team in the West last year, and you're not having them on Christmas Day.
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. The NBA's got to figure that out somehow because they've got to shift somehow the American psyche.
Yeah.
Where it does not matter who's playing. You know, what was it? Baltimore, Houston, the other night? Was that one of the Christmas games?
Yeah.
It was 31-2. Yet it got how many viewers?
That was Beyonce's fault.
Well, granted, they had a good halftime, but you're talking about Houston and Baltimore. Let's say the Wizards and the Rockets, right? Same markets. You're not putting them assholes on Christmas Day. You're not doing it. But yet Americans will stop down and watch Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans, and that's a problem for the NBA. How do we shift America's psyche to where they just want to watch our games no matter what market it is? And that is an issue. But somehow they've just got to start marketing these small markets more so. Go out of your way to make, you did this in the 80s when you made your league an individual sport. Granted, it's different. Football, they're in a helmet, and there's 22 dudes on the field at once. It's different. The NBA's different. They're in shorts, and you can see their faces, and it's 5 guys. So they're always going to deal with that. But rather than like I said earlier, Adam Silver wants Wemby to go to the Knicks. He does.
Yeah.
He's not going to force it, but he wants it. Make it where you don't have to have that be the scenario. Make it to where people do want to watch the Spurs, and all that bullshit that the Spurs are boring and all that kind of thing. That left with Tim Duncan, the way the Spurs operate too. So I read a column, maybe New York Post, I want to say, maybe. I can't remember the writer, because the Spurs were in town. Here's the small market Spurs and how they do everything. They act like they're a college team, and Wemby should be showcased. We shouldn't be shocked whenever Wemby comes in town. Wow, who's this guy on the Spurs? Whoa, what's Stefan Castle? How do you? No, I mean, so he wrote this column how this it's too bad that he plays here. Miss me with that bullshit. The NBA needs to market everybody. Yeah. Get your head out of the ass of LeBron James. He's 40 years old. He's about to leave you. You're not going to be able to rely on him anymore. Start going even more than you are, and you have been, marketing these guys, these next future stars. Anthony Edwards, Victor, Giannis. Sorry they don't play in your coastline cities. That's on them for sucking. That's on them. I don't know anybody to apologize, because my franchise for 50 years has been one of the marquee franchises in pro sports in America. That's y'all's problem. Market the Spurs more. That's all I can say to that kind of shit. So, I lost my train of thought, but I get pissed off over the same old cliches about especially San Antonio. How freaking San Antonio, it's just too bad he plays down there. No, it's just too bad you don't like basketball enough to watch the games. Just turn the game on. Wemby, I know it's hard to find the games, but if you really wanted to watch Wemby, New Yorker, you would find a way to do it every night. It's a problem the NBA has, though. The ratings, the style, stars playing in small towns. And don't rule out by God, 5 of the 6 current NBA MVP candidates ain't even from America.
Yep.
That's part of it too, I think. And the NBA's got to redress all that somehow. That's what Adam Silver gets paid $25 million a year by the league to do. So it's on him.
Well, yeah, he's got his homework cut out for him. There's a couple other Spurs topics I wanted to touch on real quick. So,
Yep.
like, we're looking at Steph Castle may be the Rookie of the Year. When you look at the Rookie of the Year ladder, he's number one right there. He's
Well,
been number one for a couple weeks.
Helps to get back on the court.
Absolutely.
Anyway, not to shift gears.
But so that would mean we have back-to-back Rookie of the Years. That has only happened a couple other times in NBA history. Can you think of the last time that happened?
Do you know the answer already?
I do.
Okay, not the Lakers because they buy their stars. They don't draft them and develop them. Let me think about that for a second.
There we go. But yeah, it hasn't happened a whole lot.
Was it the Magic?
No, not the Magic. It's Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. Okay.
Minnesota. 2015, Karl Anthony Towns, or Wiggins and then Karl Anthony Towns.
Wiggins. Okay.
But yeah,
Think about Wiggins.
I think it would be.
He was Rookie of the Year that year?
Yes.
That was a bad draft.
It was, and I think most people are going to say that about this draft too.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So I mean, I think it would be really cool if Steph Castle wins that, and to be a part of the Rookie of the Year last year, Rookie of the Year this year. I think that just bodes well for the young core that we're building. So I thought that was something that was pretty unique.
Who would you rather see in a dunk contest, Wemby or Steph Castle?
I mean, I think Wemby would be.
I enjoy watching him dunk. Wemby.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun because it's so strange looking.
He just does the E space so easily, just between his
Oh,
legs,
yeah.
and you're like,
It's fun.
Did you jump?
It just looks weird.
I think he'd be able to take a ball off the top of the backboard and then dunk it.
It would be fun to see the creativeness of how tall and how high he could jump.
Yeah. Can I expound upon the whole marketable small markets and the
Absolutely.
stars and things? I think there's also, we got lumped into this boring category outside of our city, And it's become a cliche. And people that don't know shit about basketball are the ones that tend to think that, the Spurs are boring. When's the last time you watched any NBA game all 4 quarters? Well, 6 years ago. Okay, so fuck off. I don't want to hear about how the Spurs are boring. You never watch them, And I get more mad at analysts, people that get paid lots of money to go on television and sit on studio sets and tell me the Spurs are boring. No, you just don't ever watch them. That's your problem. It's a you problem. But I think the Spurs are about to get out of that. Yeah, we're small market, but the San Antonio Spurs, the reason why we were so-called boring is because we were just not out there. The Spurs had the greatest dynasty there's ever been that couldn't have cared any less. Of all the great runs in NBA history or pro sports for that matter, we spent 20 years probably as the marquee franchise that didn't give a shit about any of the outside stuff because of Tim. Tim's a shy island kid, didn't want anything to do with any of that stuff. And so the Spurs smartly decided, cool, we're going to go that route. We don't want ABC in here on a Sunday doing a noon game. We don't care. We don't care if we're on Christmas. We don't care if the ratings are down. Timmy does not want to do this kind of stuff, so we're fine with that. We don't care if they call us boring. Wemby is not like Timmy in that regard. Wemby's a global guy.
Right.
Wemby really does want to. He's a young kid coming up in the social media age. He's all over in social media. He's I'm not saying Tim wasn't smart, but Wemby's intellectual enough that he actually has no problem talking about different topics in public. Tim never talked about anything other than tonight's game and me go home. But that was fine. That's what made Tim Tim. People say, well, Tim Duncan would have how legendary would he have been had Tim been a Knick? I almost wonder maybe Tim wouldn't even have been Tim had he been a Knick.
100%.
Because he didn't want to play in that kind of shit. He didn't want that punch bowl or that whatever you want to call it, that limelight. Wemby's fine with it. Wemby's going to wind up having shit tons of endorsements globally too. This whole Spurs are boring stuff is about to switch. It really is, I think, in the next couple of years. Once New York realizes that there's a Wembanyama and they see him all the time on TV, the San Antonio, that stigma, I think it's going to go away, honestly.
My favorite thing was when they were showing like, so what's your Christmas Day dream? And like, well, hopefully we get the win on Christmas Day, and then go home and be with the family and hang out. And then next player, I hope we get the win and go home and be with the family. Wemby, what's your Christmas Day dream? It was like a room full of Legos.
A room full of Legos. He's not even 21 yet.
No,
Yeah.
no. So
He's still a kid at heart.
he just wants to play with his Legos and watch Star Wars. So
Yeah.
if that's our biggest problem, then thank God.
Oh yeah, all these. I sound like a complainer today. These are all short-term issues.
Yeah.
Big picture, man. I'm just.
Yeah, we're
How lucky are we?
We're
Once
so
again,
lucky.
God loves this team.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He loves this franchise clearly.
Thank
the luck
God.
we've had. It's
Well,
awesome.
we have all the nuns praying for the Spurs at all times. So they have their rosary beads that have
Yeah.
basketballs.
all the candles are lit in the windows. Oh yeah, we're very fortunate that he has the mindset, the maturity to sort of distance himself from things that could be a problem off the court.
He can handle all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
and he's fine with it. Yeah, I think that's good. That's a good thing.
Oh yeah,
As long as he stays here.
yes, yeah. He would be a nightmare to go up against, even if he was in the East. But especially if he was.
I don't even
somehow-
want to fathom him.
Yeah,
leaving
yeah.
and what that might look like around here. I don't
Let's
want that-
just act like that's not in the realm
Sorry
of
we brought
possibilities.
that up.
But one other thing I did want to ask, Coach Pop. How much longer do we think Coach Pop is going to be around coaching the Spurs? We're talking about, Spurs identity. Coach Pop, he's on contract until the 27-28 season, I believe. I think after this stroke, it's almost a guarantee that he's not going to be living out that contract or on the bench. He may not even be. He's definitely not going to be extending the contract, I don't think. But whenever I look at it, I don't even see him, being with the organization until 27-28. Do you think that Mitch Johnson is that long-term option, or
Maybe, but I think that I don't want to just make him the guy just because he's been here. I don't want to just default to Mitch. And I know he's a young rising star. He was already before Pop got sick. But I don't want to just. And am I okay if they just go ahead and name him the full-time coach at some point? Yeah, as long as that's really the right thing to do. And I trust them to make sure they do the right thing. Look, I have no inside sources on this. This is my hunch. It's just from observing them, being around them back in my days when I was at all the games, when I was at the ticket, doing post games, and this is my hunch, just observing them. I am convinced, and they'll never. And it's always just going to be my stupid theory because no one's ever going to deny it or say I'm right. I really do think Pop was ready to walk. But the Kawhi Leonard saga, so Aaron passed away, Mrs. Popovich, and I think Pop was kind of ready to just move on. Maybe be a president of ops only. Maybe step into an NBA role, because he loves the league. But Kawhi pulled all that shit, and I think it delayed Pop's retirement. I really do think that's possible. I think that Pop was ready. Oh, my God. God loves the Spurs. We've landed Kawhi Leonard. Now we've won a title with him already. He's the bridge to the next generation. I'm going to hand it over to Becky Hammon or Mike Budenholzer. I'm going to go be an executive with the NBA, and I can travel the world all the time. No more 4 a.m. airports. I really think he was planning to retire, and then Kawhi did what he did, and Pop's so loyal to RC and the Holt family. And losing his wife, it's like, what else are you going to do? He sold the house. He lives right down the street here now. He's made his life small. It's what he does. He's like Willie Nelson. If Willie stops touring, Willie's going to die.
Right.
And that's Pop. It's who he is as a human being. But I really think there was a window where I think Pop was going to go ahead and turn it over. But then after Kawhi did what he did, Pop was not going to leave this franchise flailing like that. He was too loyal and decided, F it. My wife's gone. I've got the time. What else am I going to do? I don't want to grow tomatoes. Fuck it. And these kids are making me feel young, But now, unfortunately, time and health has caught up to him. I think it's very possible we never see Pop coach on that sideline again. I think we may be already there.
Right.
This franchise hopefully will, this was a ruthless franchise for a long time. One that had Tim Duncan. Now we got Timmy. We can do whatever the hell we want. Steven Jackson, you don't like your role? Fuck you. You're out of here. Oh, you come in here and you're gonna act like you're gonna do the things the Spurs way. You don't like it? Fuck you. You're out of here. People. Oh, free agents don't want to play here. Well, a lot of the times, the team didn't want those free agents here. This was a collegiate atmosphere, that old school thing, that kind of in our little bubble because Tim being the shy kid, and the franchise operated with a ruthlessness, with a smile in those days because they had Tim Duncan. I want to see them get back to that. I want some nasty, We haven't seen that in a few years. It's been 3 years since I got pissed off over a random game. I got mad over the Knicks the other night. That's a good thing. I want them as they go forth to be ruthless again, Bring back the ruthlessness. Bring back the nasty. For the last 4 years, it's been a boys' camp over there. We're rebuilding. We're tanking.
They're young.
We're young. Everything's okay. Everybody gets a ribbon. I got here in 2007. Never in my wildest would I ever think that Greg Popovich, after a 20-point loss, would go on there and say, they just played so hard, I couldn't be more proud of them. Miss me with that shit. Where's that at? So with Wemby's emergence, hopefully with a new young blood coach coming on, and the GM, he's cutting the Spurs cloth. RC's still the CEO of the whole thing.
Right.
Let's get back to those ruthless Spurs where we do what we want, how we want. And that means we go get the best coach available. I don't want to just default to Mitch Johnson because it's a great internship and he's learning on the job. And if he's the right guy, great. But Steve Kerr's going to be a free agent in a couple of years. Mike Budenholzer might be a better fit here. He knows his family. This kind of thing. It's a good question. And that's a long answer, and the answer is I don't know.
Right.
But what I trust that they're going to all they care about is winning. And it's part of the reason why they're boring to the outsider who never watches them. It's the most entertaining damn team you ever seen in 2014. The league's never had a more entertaining team. But I want them to get back to that don't give a shit. We're only about winning.
Yeah.
We don't care about bullshit. We don't care about
feelings.
We don't care if your girlfriend's mad. We don't care if you get a divorce. We don't care if we don't care. We're here to win championships. I want this franchise to get back to that. I think they will. I have hope and trust that they will soon.
I think they will too, and I think
go get the best damn available to be your coach.
Yeah.
I think it starts with this year. What are we going to be? Like, are we trying to get to the playoffs? Are we just going to be a 500 team and hope for the best? Because if there's trades out there and we're calling up people for Fox or for Jimmy Butler or whoever is out there, I mean, I don't know if we make a move now, but I think in the summer something happens and we lose some of these younger guys who, hey, clearly you just can't play with Wemby. And that's what the deal is now.
Could not agree more.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that ruthlessness. We love you. We don't but we're here to win titles.
Right.
If you cannot and that's what they had with Timmy. When I first got the job at the Ticket in 2007, Tom James, the longtime media relations guy, called me. Hey, man, let's grab a beer. Oh, cool. Okay, I appreciate that. He wanted to get to know me. And he told me something that night in 2007 before I even started my show. He heard that I got the job and I was going to start in 2 weeks. He's like, I just want you to know that every single thing we do is in Tim's image. We're all here because of Tim. I have the job because of Tim. Everything, it's like the Bible. Everything begats. It all starts with Timmy. Timmy's Genesis, Everything we do. Every guy on the bench, everybody in Austin, every assistant coach, the kids in the film room.
Yep.
If you're not here to help Tim Duncan win championships, you can't be here. And I think we're this close to that area with Victor Wembanyama. Devin Vassell, if you can't hang, fuck off. You're out of here. Too bad. This ain't boys camp. This shit's got, I want some nasty, to quote the coach. I want that back.
Especially with these salaries now.
Sure.
If we're paying you $30 million plus a year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like Zach Collins,
you're getting
$17 million a year, and you're not being able to hang as our backup center. It's like that's inexcusable.
Wemby said it in the postgame. We didn't have any dog out there. Okay, go get me some.
Yeah. And a lot of that is going to have to come from coaching. I mean, you got to have somebody out there. instilling that confidence in you, but also kind of breaking you down so it can build you back up. Because, I'm not seeing that tenacity, that nasty from Coach Pop anymore. I remember back like first year, second year, Tony Parker would make some turnovers. Coach Pop would be up his ass. Coach Pop would be yelling at him and absolutely get into him in a way where he wouldn't make that turnover the next time down the court.
Correct.
Because he was absolutely, he knew the consequences of fucking up in a major situation. So I think, we need somebody that can continue that. And I don't know if Mitch Johnson is that. Part of me, I have a little theory where I would like to see Jay Wright come coach the Spurs. I think he's not only a really great coach, a good leader of young men. He's used to coaching college-age coaches, which is a lot of what our team is. He coached with Pop in the 2020 Olympics. There's a lot of things that I feel like would make him a good, suitable candidate to coach the Spurs.
If Wemby's down, I'm down.
Right, exactly.
Everything needs to be now in Wemby's image.
Yes.
This is the new Bible. It's the book of Victor.
Right.
And if you fit in that book, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter who you are. You can't come here.
I'll take any coach who's not going to grab the microphone during a game and tell the fans to stop booing.
Well, I don't know if I guess you watched my podcast. I annihilated Pop that night.
Yeah.
I thought that was awful. It was a terrible thing to do.
It was chicken shit.
I think he's lost his fastball. You asked the question, will Pop come back? I don't know that he should. I don't think Pop has that same nasty. 75.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I love him, and maybe it was him being the coach when we drafted Wemby was great, and it was good and serendipitous and whatever, because maybe Pop was the perfect guy to introduce Wemby to the NBA. But now it's time to figure out who else. Wemby wound up playing with Pop for how many games did Pop coach this year? 8, 9? How many games did he get?
I think he left the November
11?
2nd, 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, it was less than 15.
So Wemby
Yeah.
got one season and 10, 11, 12 games. Whoever the next coach is will have Wemby for 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Right.
That is extremely important. It's the most important decision that they've made, and I can't remember when. It may be the most important decision they've ever made.
Yeah.
And that is go find the right coach that will coexist with Victor Wembanyama and make him want to continue to re-sign extensions in San Antonio, Texas.
Yep. And I think that for me, I'm a wine guy just like Pop.
Uh-huh.
And for me, I think this health scare is enough to say, hey, man, go drink that wine before you can't.
Yeah.
You've done all this
Yeah.
spending money. Like, go drink that wine before you can't do it anymore. And that's the biggest thing. I've heard too many stories of so-and-so had all this great wine from all these great places, and then they passed, and they never got to drink it.
Yeah, people recover from strokes all the time, but they're not riding around and spending 100 nights a year in a hotel and
Right.
staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning at 75 years old. It's like, should you? Why would you?
Why? What do you have to prove at this point?
Right, especially when
What
you
is
have
the
nothing
point?
more to give. Like
No,
it's like
what is the point?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost. I mean, I hate to see him. I would hate to see him go out on something that wouldn't be his own terms. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I would hate to see another stroke. Further down the line next
Right.
season.
I'm just
Yeah,
thankful that it happened. I'm thankful. I don't know what the right word is. At least it happened before a home game. What if they'd have been in fucking Cleveland?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh crap! What do we do? Obviously, they have hospitals in Cleveland, but it's just. At least it was here. His house is down the street. Everyone knows him. It was probably a quick thing, give him the hospital, all this kind of thing. I don't know. It's at 75 years old, I ain't going to be working. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing other shit. I don't want my job to define me. His defines him, and that's okay. That's fine. The franchise is great because of that. But at some point, you got to move on. And Wemby needs to know who the coach is going to be going forth.
Sure.
Things like that. We can't have this. Okay, obviously, he had a stroke. He's Greg Popovich. He has all the power on this as he wants. But at some point, these kids have to know. Like you talk about trades and stuff. I'm glad that Mitch said the other night, yeah, me and Pop talk all the time. I'm sure he talked to the GM all the time, Brian Wright. But at some point, if Pop's not going to be a part of it, who is the next person going to be before I go trade, Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson for De'Aaron Fox? You know, if I'm a player in the league, I'm a free agent next summer when they have a shit ton of money, I need to know if I go sign 3 or 4 more years, I need to know what's it going to look like. And they're going to make those decisions. They need to make them pretty soon.
Absolutely.
If they haven't already, and it would be very Spursian
For sure.
if they've already made those decisions, but because they're who they are, they just don't have to tell us all, which is fine.
Yeah, the public will be the last to know about
Absolutely.
anything the Spurs are doing.
And certainly some slappy podcasters like us will be the last to know. I got to pee, y'all.
Absolutely. Well,
What's next?
yeah, so we got this is the last thing. We just got to dunk on some people.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to dunk on the NBA for making me download so many apps and paying so much money to watch my local team. So I'm going to dunk on the NBA. I hate that shit. Pisses me off.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
way too much money. I'm going to go back to cable.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame anyone for not wanting to watch the NBA because it's not readily available. Because not everyone is hardcore fans that want to watch every single game. They just want to tune in casually and watch the game on a night where they are not working. And so you have to be mindful that those are part of the dollars that are coming in and generating revenue as well. But yeah, that's a solid dunk. I want to dunk on Panini because they're, the company that has license for the NBA cards. I've got a couple of really high-end boxes recently, and some of the shit has been all over the place. Quality control has been terrible. I pulled a 1-of-1 John Morant, which should have been a $400, $500 card, and it ended up, having some flaws on it. So I need to dunk on Panini real quick because at the end of the day, if you're buying some high-end product and some stuff that you intend on reselling or getting it graded, that's atrocious. It should be better, especially if you're pulling it right out of the box. And that's why Topps is getting the contract moving forward, and the licensing deal and professional basketball and sports in general is moving away from Panini. So they fucking get dunked on. Fuck them.
I want to dunk on the actor Jason Bateman.
There we go.
I like Jason Bateman. I loved Ozark. I like him. I watched a movie called Carry On Netflix.
Watched
the
last
number
night.
one movie in America on Netflix.
Watched last night.
Cheeseball, cliche, bullshit. I wasted 2 hours watching Carry On. I watched it because he's in it and was pissed that it took 2 hours of my life. That movie's so terrible. It was so 80s generic action, unrealistic bullshit.
Whenever he was driving the cart on the tarmac and he caught up to the plane, I was like, get out of here with that.
Right. The assassin guy in the van.
Yeah.
He just happens to be everywhere that she's at, and he's trying to kill her. At LAX.
Yeah.
Dude, we don't go for that shit no more. It was an unrealistic, ridiculously dumb movie. I hated it, and Jason Bateman is a great actor. He should know better than to take that stupid role.
Oh, yeah.
God knows what they paid him.
It was fun until all that action and stuff started to go down. And I was like, oh, man.
The premise was fine, but 30 minutes in, it's like, this is just dumb. And like down in the warehouse area where all the packages have been on the conveyor belt, there's not one human down there. No cameras filming all this.
And also, like, you're just going to walk in the middle of those restricted areas, like, just nonchalant.
Yeah,
like, hey, sir. They're like, you just now caught me?
Yeah, once again, the poor LAPD gets made to look like shit in a movie.
Yeah, that happens all too often.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for being here.
It's a hell of a view, man. What a sweet view.
Yeah, we're overlooking downtown San Antonio right now. It's a gorgeous view, your backyard, San Antonio, so it's always cool to do some eating and drinking down there. But thank you so much for coming. Do you have anything to plug?
Watch In the Building on Love You Hard TV on YouTube. Our shows, we're on almost all the platforms, but YouTube's where we make the most money, so I'm going to pump that one.
Absolutely.
On YouTube, it's called Love You Hard TV. I have a podcast with a guy called Rudy J called In the Building, and we're just the latest radio guys to go off on their own and risk their entire careers by going into the podcast business, so help us stay afloat on Love You Hard TV on YouTube.
Shout out to them, and then also for my San Antonio viewers, Texas Cheer Liquor. If you're in San Antonio, mention In the Building.
Thank you.
For 5% off. Mm-hmm. And so you just got done hanging out with your in-laws. They drank all your booze. Go ahead and stock up again at Texas Cheer Liquor. How many locations?
7. 6
7
in San
locations.
Antonio, 1 in your hometown of Bernie, Texas.
There you go.
No matter what it is you buy, 5% off when you mention In the Building.
Gotta say in the building.
In the Building. Can't say the goofy half Mexican or the bald black dude. The podcasters. In the Building.
In the Building.
That's right. Because the owner's a cheapwad and he wants to make sure he gets a return on his investment.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome,
us.
man. Pleasure.
We end our podcast in one way. and that is
Go Spurs, go. Boom.